Yeah, we don't. He could have a little bit of sidewall damage there to the car that could be affecting his aerodynamics just a little bit. But here comes Doug thinking about a move to the outside, going down into the chicane. He's going to have to be very brave to do it and pulls it off. Oh, you can't get a whole lot closer than that. My goodness gracious.
Let's take a look at this from the hood, because this is where Partridge needs to change his pants, and Kinchler probably does too after he saw what happened in his mirrors. But Partridge comes in too hot, clips that inside curve, gets unsettled, then he's on the brakes. We're going to go in slow-mo here to see how close it was, and it was very close.
Yeah, the top three have been an incredible fight. Oh man.
Gently does it, boys, as they make their way down. They bang wheels. Oh, Sebastian Tixier, he goes tumbling over. Trengarade going off the circuit. Goodness gracious, looked like Jim Shedlick went off the track in sympathy there.
This is the view that he has going through. He sees a couple lights in the distance, trying to get it rejoined.
Oh, that's not good. Careful, boys, careful. Too wide coming up, Eau Rouge. And the loser there is going to be Vaughn as Karthik Pai keeps his foot in it. Vaughn going to lose another position there to Mika Lino. And Lino going to go for a 2-for-1 as they come down the Camel Straight. He has got such massive overspeed. Look at that move from the number 5 machine.
Good morning, everyone. I'm going to ride around the world.
I'm Mick Claridge, and I'm going to ride around the world on my bike.
My son, he gave me advice at the start of this ride, and he looked at me and just said, "Dad, don't be a moron."
Let me do my animal signal to gain their respect. How's it going, Sally? Yeah, I'm alright, Mick. How's it going? Worse than that bit in Lord of the Rings where they go into the top and the spider's in the tunnel. I'm just hoping there's a spider at the top of this one to kill me.
Freezing.
And I failed. I moroned up the ride.
Spartan Transportation and Spartan Logistic Management is your one source for all your shipping needs. 53-foot dry van shipments, auto transport shipments, full-service in-house brokerage, drop lot facilities, just-in-time deliveries to all auto manufacturers, facilities in St. Louis, Missouri, Kansas City, Missouri, and Indianapolis, Indiana. Visit us at spartan-logistics.net or find us on Facebook.
In November of 1957, ground was broken on what would become the world center of speed, the Daytona International Speedway. And today we break new ground for our inaugural broadcast of the IROC Challenge Series. This fixed setup series will kick things off for their 5th season here in the non-points Shootout. No championship implications will be at play, but starting positions for next week's points-paying opener will be on the line, as well as the dash for the trophy. And you'll see it all live here on the Global SimRacing Channel. Hi, I'm Chris Fobian, and with me in the booth is Michael Johnson. Behind the scenes is our director, Joe Peak, and he's using cameras provided by Dougie Beard. Daytona International Speedway is a high-speed chess game, and to learn all about it, we'll throw to our track guide.
Welcome to Daytona International Speedway. This track began life after Bill France Sr. realized the Daytona Beach road course had outgrown itself. With ambitious plans and the blessing of the city officials, he built what would become the very first superspeedway in NASCAR history. At 2.5 miles and with 31 degrees of banking, stock cars easily reach speeds of around 200 miles per hour. Pretty much every car can take the course flat out. This makes for one of the most unique styles of racing motorsports has ever seen. The slipstream allows drivers to stay with one another so easily that it becomes less about the speeds each driver can reach and more about the strategy of racing in a pack. Bump drafting is a technique in which the car behind actually pushes the car in front so that both are able to reach higher speeds. And side drafting is another in which the drivers use the air off the sides of their cars to slow their opponents down. Staying out of trouble is always a difficult aspect of superspeedway racing, and it's not uncommon to see drivers intentionally move to the back of the pack to avoid the chaos. In fact, the high speeds make large wrecks so hard to avoid that the term "the big one" has become commonplace to refer to the almost inevitable multi-car pileups the circuit is known for. Also, entering pit lane is its own skill, which requires practice in order to slow the car up as quickly and safely as possible. Keeping the car clean and in contention is the main goal for much of the event. Then the final few laps, it's a race to the line, with any alliances usually dissolving and the driver's urge to win taking over. With it being home to one of the world's most famous races, the Daytona 500, fans from around the globe flock to this landmark circuit. Just like the cars on it, the Daytona International Speedway shows no signs of slowing down.
All right, and that was a pretty in-depth look at what the drivers are going to be experiencing here today at the Daytona International Speedway. And of course, what we're doing today at Daytona could not be possible without the partners that have helped make this series possible for the duration of this season. First off, we want to thank Zoe's Place. The mission of Zoe's Place Child Advocacy Center is to minimize trauma to child victims of sexual abuse and neglect by providing a centralized, safe, and child-friendly facility from which a multidisciplinary team conducts investigations and intervention activities. Our goal is to reduce trauma, seek justice, and foster hope and healing for children and their non-offending caregivers. Our vision is to foster hope and healing, reduce trauma, and provide nurturance for children and their families.
It's also brought to you by R&R Racewear, your source for all your custom racewear apparel needs and home to iRacing Apparel. Check it out today at r-rracewear.com.
Well, Michael, we have a pretty legendary course in front of us today. Can you tell us a little bit more about it as we go through our track information?
My experience with the Daytona International Speedway is a little bit different than we're looking at today. I am personally used to the 24-hour setup, but this is the famous tri-oval, those 31-degree banks. There is no lifting here, my friend. You will be full throttle the whole lap in these cars. It's about a 2.5-mile loop around, just over 4 kilometers. And it is just an absolute hoot. It is a legendary track. This is what people strive to drive. If you're driving anything and you have one choice to drive somewhere, this is almost always the place people choose to come.
And while qualifying ongoing at the moment, just a quick look at what's going to be going on as far as the setup for this race. It's this will be race 5. Whoa, I got a little excited there. This will be a 60-lap race for these drivers. They're going to have a 5-minute qualifying session, 2 laps. Take the quickest of those 2 laps. 60 laps, as mentioned, will be the distance. And this will set the grid for the Daytona opener next week for the points paying season. They're allowed 4 sets of tires. We have 3 green-white checker attempts.
It's going to be a really fun race to see these guys out there running that 60 laps and just watching them play that chess game you mentioned earlier on. This is really about setting yourself up for that final run, not getting caught up in anything, because they want a clean race to be in a good position to start that race.
We're following along here with Ray Radford in the 47 machine. You'll notice these cars are somewhat basic looking as far as the paint scheme goes. This is a play on the old International Race of Champions series, where these drivers will be in identically set up vehicles out there, and basically try to make the playing field as even as possible as they go out here on some of the legendary race courses across this continent.
Yeah, it's a lot of fun seeing this. Now, one thing you're going to notice about these guys, they're going to try on their out lap to really loop their speed up, to get it up as high as they can, and make that second lap be the one that counts. The first lap, if you try to just hold it down on that line the whole time, sure, you have the shortest line, but you're not getting the highest speed. Now, what they're going to want to do in general is that first lap, you're going to try to run it outside, a longer loop, so you just get that extra, maybe a quarter, possibly a half a mile per hour overall on your lap. But that makes a difference, and that can be that couple of thousandths of a second that puts you in front of the person, right, who was going to be just in front of you. So as we take a look here, look how tight these times are. We've got second and third place identical at plus 0.033 off of our leader. That's both the McCanns. And then we got Radford 55 thousandths, 56 thousandths, 60, 61. This is tight. And this is all about really getting that extra quarter, half. Well, let's go down to a tenth of a mile per hour here as we watch Joshua Funkhauser, number 81 from the Virginias region, looking out, trying to get through there, running a nice lap. He got a 50.478, but that was only good enough for 12th for him.
Goes to show how close this field is. Aaron Smith right now, top of the charts, the 50.405, the time to beat. Chris Mefford out of Indiana is currently on a timed lap. Was pretty quick on his out lap there, so we'll see what he can do.
And taking a look back in 33rd, that's going to be Matthew Kopp, 34th, as he finishes up out of Indiana in the 22. Looks like he's going to hang it up, bring it into the pits, and just try to make that run through the field. As we switch over to David E. Brown, he is currently in 4th place. This is tight. I mean, I'm used to road racing a lot, and if things are this tight, this is the thickness of the paint on the bumper that we're talking about here. It's super tight from here. If you look all the way back to 20th, we're not even a 10th off all the way back to 20th. So this is crazy tight racing we're about to see. All right, let's go take a look at our grid here. We've got about 4.5 minutes of this warm-up period, but we're going to take a look at our starting grid. At the pole position, Aaron Smith II with a 50.405. Not far behind him, Brian McCann in second place. The 33 car, Kevin McCann. David E. Brown in 4th. Hunter Clark, 5th. Troy Radford filling out that 3rd row. 4th row, Jeff Napier and Brian Kaufman. 5th row, 9th place, Tim Schofield and Hunter Tate in P10. Looking on to row number 6, we've got Douglas Wisaki. I can't believe I said that correctly. I'm going to pat myself on the back for that one in P11. Nathan Bishop in P12. Row number 7, Stoney Benfield, alongside Joshua Funkhauser, who we were just watching there at the end. Brandon Leclerc in 15th. Finishing out row 8 is going to be Jesse King in 16th. P17 on row 9 is Chris Wally with Damon Cox alongside him. And P18, David Trumbley, P19. And finishing out row number 10 is Cook Quick, bringing in 20th place with a 50.490. Row number 11, Ray Radford alongside Mike Harper, Bill J. Walker, and Dylan Dellinger, or is that Dellinger? Let me know how the right way to say that one is. Row 12, row 13, Mike Koch with Jay Jensen in 26th. Row number 14, Donnie Lyons alongside Brian Reek. Row number 15, Robert Formwald with Jamie Abrell in 30th.
Then on our next row here, starting in the 31st position, that's going to be Gary Ragland with Jason Higginbotham in the 32nd position. Neil Quick will be in 33rd, followed by Chris Mefford in 34th. Paul Bazell and Matthew Kopp will make up row 18 with Brandon Mefford and Brian Kaiser in the 19th row. Timothy Woodson and Curtis Rogers will complete your top 40 starters. And then last three drivers on the grid here in this 43-car field. You're going to be looking at James Kaufman, Kyle Pendergraft, and Jarrett Widener, the last two of those drivers not setting a time, as well as Dakota Clark, 44th.
So we got about
we have
2 minutes left to warm up here. Well, we watch these guys try to fit up with their drafting partner. I think they're trying to figure out who they can draft with, who they're comfortable with. They've been racing together for a while, so I imagine they've kind of got their groups together. As we got a little group there, looks like trading off fastest lap. Jarrett Widener pulling out a 47.576. These guys are making use of those draft trains, aren't they?
That's right, Michael. These drivers, as you can see, running significantly quicker laps than what we saw in qualifying, thanks in part to that draft. And Michael, can you lend us a little bit to what challenges these drivers are going to face trying to stay in the draft for the duration of this one?
Well, the interesting part about Daytona is it is kind of a bumpy track. It's not glass smooth like you see some tracks around the world. There are some bumps there, and the way these cars go over those bumps and kind of bounce around a little bit, you want to make sure you're not too close up on somebody to hit them in the way that makes them spin. You want to work together. So we watch this little group of 5 going right now. There are 2 down on that inside line, 3 trying to make up the outside line. It looks like we're trying to get a second outside line there going around. They're trying to make the most use of the big hole in the air that they can create. So the car behind has a wonderful effect of spoiling that air coming off the tail of the car in front of it. So there's no vortex of air just circling around back there and sucking the car back. It goes to the car behind. Now it goes over that car, and sure, it extends and gets that car, but now you've got 2 motors pushing through. One of them has no air coming through the front. Be careful though, because you're going to get that motor hot. So every once in a while, you're going to see these guys pop their nose out and try to get some of that cool 69-degree air on this 72-degree track. Those are Fahrenheit for those of you who may be watching from outside the United States. It's not about to melt a tire yet. Light winds here today, though. Only 2 miles an hour from the north, but 57% humidity, which is probably kind of low for Daytona.
Well, with that, Michael, our warm-up comes to an end. The field gridding up right now. As mentioned, this is the shootout for the IROC Challenge Series. This is their inaugural event of this season. However, this race is a non-points event. It will determine the starting grid for next week's season opener. And it's going to be a lot of risk versus reward balancing as far as that goes.
Yeah, I think everyone's going to try to mind their P's and Q's pretty well through here. They don't want to get into trouble and end up way back in the grid. Let's say you've got someone like one of the McCanns, Kevin or Brian. They're P2 and P3 right now. They're easily contenders to sit up front, but somebody does something silly. Somebody hits the back corner of a car or dips down on the nose of somebody. That can put you from 3rd place to 43rd place, and I don't think anybody wants that. So I think everybody's going to be pretty chill and really only making those serious moves towards the end of this race.
Well, we do have a few competitors that are going to be joining us on the onboard cameras. First up, we're riding here with Brian McCann. You can see him with the fun little sequential shifter there as he has his setup, eyes laser focused forward, and we'll be following along with him today. And I believe we have one more driver that's going to be joining us on cameras as well, and that's going to be Mike Cook in the 00 with the VR setup. No, he's not just staring out into space wildly. He does have the VR headset there, so he's even more into it than we are at the moment.
I love being in VR. It's how I prefer to race whenever I'm racing. I'm in VR. It just immerses you into that car. You feel like you're actually part of it. And yeah, you can watch the pedals and look around, see all the electronics in the car hanging out that you don't normally have in a street car.
Yeah, it's definitely bringing you right into the action. Usually instead of VR, when I find myself racing, I usually find myself in the wall. But, you know, everyone has their own different techniques here. So we are just going to be having one pace lap here at Daytona International Speedway, 2.5-mile oval. And we're going to be setting these drivers loose here soon. Any final thoughts as we get ready to come to the green, Michael?
Keep your nose clean, boys. Keep your nose clean. You cannot let a little bit of impetuousness get in way of being successful today. You absolutely need to be tight up on the people you're racing with, but not in a dangerous way.
All right, pace car dips down, and we are green. We are away here at the start in the early laps. And looks like the inside line taking off, but a pretty big advantage by the inside car there. That is possibly going to come back to bite him as everyone works to get up to speed. You don't want to be caught out by yourself. It definitely helps to have somebody pushing.
Well, I think he's trying to get out there so he can watch in his mirror to see who's going to jockey for a position to get behind him. But the crowd closes up. We've got a push going on that upper line, on that outer line right there. Check it out, that yellow and blue Camaro. Watch them just push right around and get back up there and push themselves into the lead. That would have been our P2 and P4 drivers, who are now P1 and P2. That's going to be Brian McCann and David Brown sitting up there at this point. So watch for a lot of that, being able to use that upper line and get a good push to run down the outside and just get that nice little extra oomph to get you in front. We're about to watch it happen again, although, ooh, that looks like the number 01 going a little bit wide. They had a chance. The 34 was sitting there poised to go back up into the lead, but it wasn't going to happen.
Right now it's Brian McCann, one of our onboard drivers. You can see him looking cool as a cucumber there, currently at the front. You wouldn't think that he has Troy Radford right to his elbow, the way that he looks on screen there. But Radford now losing some ground in that outside line. So it's going to be the push on the inside from David Brown, going to help power Brian McCann up into the lead. And already we got a car down, looks like heading towards pit road. I believe that was the 33 machine.
Yeah, that's Kevin McCann in the 33. Looks like, not sure what happened to him there, but it's interesting to see. We've got Jay Jensen back there in the 02 car. We were, no, that was the 01 we were looking at, but pulls the fastest lap from a little bit far back in the back. That's to be expected at this point in the race. We're going to see some movement going on once these little pelotons start to pull out from each other, and you have these groups of guys driving together to try to get away.
I got to tell you, Michael, I don't think I'd like to play Scrabble with you. You have a lot of really big words under your hat.
Well, I do play words with friends a lot, and one of my girlfriend's good friends and I play a lot, and she doesn't get too mad if I typically score about 400 points on it, but she takes it and she learns, and actually sometimes she beats me. It's not always the words you use, it's how you place them. You get that Z on a triple letter, or the J on a triple letter, well, that's 30 points for you right there. And if you can extend that all the way over to a triple word, you've just tripled that thing.
Our director, Joe Peak, telling us his wife has actually banned him from playing Words with Friends. I hope it's not because of the type of language that he uses.
No, he's usually pretty good, at least on the air. We like him that way anyway. He's got a good dulcet tone that kind of, there's another one for you, dulcet tone, that kind of glides through the ears. So let's take a look here. These guys are doing a nice job holding this pack together. I have played around iRacing a lot of times in these big super speedway races, and sometimes even early on in these longer races, people get a little bit crazy. They've been very well behaved through here, but I gotta say, we do have two distinct groups. We've got this lead pack that's pretty big. They are actually a giant pack, but then you get farther back, there's a little bit of a break that goes back to that second group. It's starts around Chris Medford, Brian Medford, right in that group right there. So interesting to see with Gary Ragland being the tail end in P30. You go back to the 83 car, which is Brandon Medford in that group. That group wants to catch back up. They don't want to get stuck back there for too long because it's going to be too hard to catch up. They need to start working together. And from what I'm seeing, they are. But that lead pack, man, they are taking off. They don't want to have anybody else with them. Look at them go. Look at that gap. That is quite a gap they are holding out there. But that 83 car, Brandon Medford, trying to hold on. Let's see if he can bring that back up in the next few minutes.
Well, it looks like we have Brian McCann there on the inside trying to hold off Troy Radford in the 94, still the two heads of the line, so to speak, and then David Brown and Brian Kaufman riding in the shotgun position in both of these rows here. Now, would you say, Michael, that probably the money spot to be in right now would be probably the tail end of this first grouping? Gives you enough time to keep your nose out of trouble, but you're still in the wisps of the lead draft there. Would that be the ideal spot?
If I'm doing this race, and granted, I am more of a road car guy, but when I do these, I typically do all right. And I really, right now, I want to be in that 0-1 position or the 7. I mean, those two guys are in perfect spot. Now, the 0-1 right now, giving a nice little bump, little bit of a bump to the 94, trying to get him up there, trying to just help. But that's going to help him as well. So if they're able to time this, they're playing right now. They're trying to feel out how this is going to work. So getting a little bump, getting that push. Can I get it to get up ahead of the team? Because right now, Brian McCann is kind of controlling this race. He's not letting it go. But take a look though, 34, the 94. I keep saying 34. It's the 94. Trying to push up there with the 0-1 right behind him. That's Brian Kaufman just giving him a little nudge here and there, trying to get him ahead. They are looking for their advantage. As we go on board here, this is going to be from the 8 car, sitting right back there. The 8, that's Hunter Tate, trying to sit himself up for position. Now me, I'm impetuous. I'm the guy who tries to go up through the middle here. You're not going to see that from these guys. They're going to hold their line.
So far, coming to the conclusion of lap number 8 here, things have been clean and green thus far. It's still Brian McCann and Troy Radford heading the pack. And thus far, everyone keeping their nose clean, I guess. They are all holding on to the old adage of to finish first, you must first finish.
Yeah, that goes in all kinds of racing. It's not just in ovals. It's not just in road racing or rally or boat racing or anything. It's every kind of racing that applies to. You absolutely got to finish. And if you're trying to get too far out there and do some crazy stuff, well, that's not going to let you finish. But I want to take a look back at that second group. Brandon Medford just talking about how he wants to take a high line to work together. There's a lot of communication with these guys. They want to catch back up. Now, we've got that little third grouping of 3, even a little bit farther back. They're not getting too far away. But right now, Neil Quick is the quickest one on track, the number 2 car with a 46.588. These guys are absolutely hoofing it. Now, they have quite a gap between them and the guys in front of them. They want to close this up as soon as they can because this is getting to be a little bit too far. We got a 6-second gap. Gary Ragland is kind of the leader of this pack, going back and forth between Brandon Medford and Gary. Looks like Jarrett Widener is trying to get in there too, but they have about a 6.5, almost 7-second gap to that group. If they work together, they should be able to catch up. They just need a little bit of luck here and there. Maybe some people popping out at times they shouldn't.
Well, good catch by our director here. We got one going around.
That's going to be
Chris Medford. So we got a Hoosier State driver going around, and great catch by our director. He was right on the scene there as it happened. We'll take another look. You can see the 46 gets to the bottom behind the 88. That red car with the silver numbers there, red and black with the silver numbers, is going to be the one that we want to keep our eye on. And just looks like just a little nudge there. And unfortunately, when you're going that fast as they are in these cars, Michael, that can definitely send you for a ride.
Yeah, those tires are sticky, but they can only do so much as we come back up to the lead pack here with the number 3 back up there running this race in his own style. This Brian McCann taking a hold of that lead and just stick every corner, watching as we come past the lap car. The 22 back there is a lapped car, I believe, trying to get back into this race. But as we go on board, taking a look here, look at that concentration. That's Brian McCann right there out of the Carolina region. Notice the absolute tightness of his wheel. He doesn't have any huge motion. Everything he's doing here is just a gentle little nudge. He's not trying to make any big movements. No need to do that. This is very talented driving that we're seeing from McCann.
And one thing that, and you mentioned it earlier a little bit, Michael, that always surprised me the first time I raced Daytona was the fact that these cars are actually surprisingly hard to hold on to. The way it looks on TV, it's just, oh, and looks like, as I mentioned, that we have a caution coming out.
Yep, caution is out. Looks like we're going to have full course yellow. I believe it's going to be. Yep, looks like a full course yellow. We're going to take a look here. That's Danny Lyons, as we see down there on, coming around, trying to take a look at. Let's take a look at the replay. Our director has caught up with what's happened. Oh, that's a little bit of extra motion in that backpack. Ooh, that's a little crazy. And as we watch the number 79 coming across, get that big yellow flag there with the flagman, and didn't quite make it to the start finish line, but trying to spin up those tires in the grass, get back out on the track. Hopefully everybody can get back into line and close that pack back up. So like I was talking before, where we had those 2 distinct packs, if those guys had to hold on to that 6.5, 7 second gap, that would have been tough. Looking at it from above, just a little bit offline, and wow, comes right around. Trying to avoid it is the 47 going low below the line. Can't quite do it. That was a dangerous position to be in because he may have ended up with a bad pit entry just because of that trajectory. Still made it, but unfortunately got hit. Looks like a little bit of damage on that car. We'll see how that one plays out in the longer part of the race as we come back to the noseless number 26. I think that was, yeah.
Well, I guess you don't have to worry about that one getting too hot as the radiator's out there flapping in the air. We work our first caution here. We're on lap number 14. Looks like Brian McCann did get flagged as the leader. Do you think we're 14 out of 60 in right now? You think we're going to be expecting pit stops here, Michael?
14 laps in on this track, probably not, unless you've got some damage. There may be some people who've pulled up a little bit of damage, but hey, it looks like I am wrong and perfectly willing to be wrong as we have our entire lead pack making the dive down in. Time for some fuel, I suppose. Get a little fuel in there. Maybe put some fresh tires on there. Maybe only right side tires. I don't think they're going to need left side tires because they just don't get worn that badly here. But it is during a caution, so you got a little extra time if you want to jockey around. I think we've got, looks like the entire field making their way in as McCann, first one out, first one in. Going to make that run down the pit lane, back out onto the track to catch back up to the pace car.
Now, oh, and looks like we have some drivers spinning on pit road. That's going to be a bit costly. But from what I saw, can't get a look at the number. It's a blue car there.
Yeah, it's this one coming into your screen right now, that blue and red car. I did not get a number on it, so I didn't see who that was. Take a look back here. I'm going to see if I can find it, see who that was. But yeah, you never want to spin on pit road. I had a teammate do that once in the road version of the Daytona race. That was not good. He almost lost his license for that.
Well, we work the first caution here, as mentioned. We're on lap 15. Not too much of a jumble in our lineup here after pit stops. It's still Brian McCann out in front. Looks like Troy Radford did go for a bit of a tumble down the running order. So it's going to be good news for Brian Kaufman as he finds himself up in the second position. And,
so was that Cook Quick? I think that might have been Cook Quick. That looks like the car, number 23. It's mostly blue, got some red markings on it. It's hard to see from that that angle, a bunch of cars moving around, but that's who I think that was who got caught out there.
I gotta say, I thought Scott Speed was the best race car name ever, but I think the last name Quick is an even better racer name.
I would have to agree with that. While Scott's a great driver, I think Quick is a better name for sure. I like it anyway. I wish I had a name like that. My name, you should see it when I try to come back into the country. We were racing up in Canada, and I had to show my passport coming in. There are 17 pages of Michael Johnson's that the guys have to go through. And I've got a global entry card. It takes me forever to get back in. As we look here, we've got more cars coming into the pit. It looks like McCann coming back in. Was that a speeding in the pits or something?
Well, these drivers here have also been known to, from time to time, take an extra splash of fuel before they go back to racing, just to get a little bit extra in the tank. I'm wondering if that's what they were doing, given the amount of cars we saw on pit road.
And that may have been the other McCann. We have Ryan, and we also have, I'm assuming they're related, but I'm not certain of that. But yeah, there were two McCanns in there, so that could have been the other McCann.
Well, looks like we have the field going double file here, Michael, so we should be going back to racing here shortly. Lights are off on top of the iRacing pace car, so we're getting formed up, and we should be heading back to green here shortly.
Yep, as they come around here, looks like, yeah, lights are out, and I expect we're going to see that pace car dive in here, and then we'll have our restart.
All right, we've got the field re-racked, restacked, and ready to go. The green flag is back out, and we're going to see how the next portion of this race will play out now. That drivers had a chance to get a feel for things, dip their toes in the water, so to speak. And Brian McCann, once again, holding charge out in front, but he's got a new contender to his outside. How does that change things from his perspective?
I think he's going to do exactly as he's holding solid on that bottom line. That's where he feels comfortable. But right now, the 0-1 actually taking a nice push as they come off the corner there from the 7, pushing him out to the lead. Now he drops into that lower line in front of McCann. So we have a new effective leader. The 0-1 car is taken over here, and that's going to be Brian Kaufman doing a beautiful job there. Now McCann is going to come up behind him and try to push him out just a little bit. He doesn't want the same thing to happen with the help of the 12 and the 7 up there on his high side. He wants to push out and get away. He wants to coax that number 7 into that position between the 54 and himself. Although going high, I don't know if that's trying to stay off the bumper a little bit, or if he wants to try that high line a little bit. I like a lower line through there, but hey, these guys, I got to say, they are better at this type of racing than I am. So it looks like McCann doing a beautiful job getting out back in front with a little bit of push from the 7 car, putting that 0-1 back into 3rd place. It was a short-held lead for the 0-1 Brian Kaufman.
So it looks like that 3 of Brian McCann, that car very aggressively wants to be out in front so far. And now he's got David Brown following behind him once again, giving him the little bit of a boost.
Yeah, Brown up a couple of positions, up to Brian Kaufman, actually up 5 positions. We see from that nice driving he was doing, he did a beautiful job when he was running that high line a little bit earlier. Now he's on that low line, sticking with these 3. I think we're about to see these 3 try to do a pull away, maybe tow along that 54 car of Hunter Clark along with them. But we got a little bit of 44 and 12 hitting that high line, making a nice run. Look at these guys, the 12 car just doing right, trying to get that 44 right up inside behind him, but the 44 going a little bit low, a little bit too low from where he needs to be to make this push back up there. We could have a runaway from the 3-7 and 0-1.
Now, it looked to me like in the early stages of getting this one back underway, and of course,
and another yellow.
Yep, got another caution ringing in here. Saw a name tumble down our pylon, but it went down so fast I didn't get a chance to catch who it was.
I saw Mike Koch drop back a little bit, Cook Quick drop back a little bit, but I didn't see who it was. Taking a look here at the GSRC replay, getting eyes on these cars here. Let's take a look here at Bill Walker out of Carolina. Oh, getting up into the wall, a little sideways, coming around. Everybody trying to avoid it. And then, fortunately, there's a lot of paved runoff there and a long way to get over to that wall. So not too much big wall damage going on, but fortunately a yellow flag so they can catch back up and get back into this race.
So cautions breeding cautions here a little bit, Michael. It looks like as we see the replay there, and a lot of drivers doing a great job taking evasive action around here to get away from the spun vehicles. We'll see a nice little mad scramble there. We have the incident there. The 19 goes low, and everyone able to do a pretty good job weaving their way around.
Yeah, everybody trying to avoid. You kind of have to guess what's happening. The general rule is go where they were, not where they're going. And it's a common mistake you see. So right here, looking on board, it's hard to tell where he's going. He had spun back around, looked like he might be going back up towards the wall. So nice move from Mefford here, trying to go super deep inside to that inside paved area to avoid that crash. But when you watch a crash like that, when you're in a car and you see the crash going on in front of you, go where they are not, where they're not going. Watch for the tail of the car, unless they're going backwards, but watch for the tail of the car, watch for the backside, where they're going away from, and that's where you generally want to steer towards.
Some very good perspective there as we trundle under pace speed right now. Mike Cook with the VR setup in the 00 machine. He's trundling around 19th right now. Just keeping his nose clean so far, trying to stick around so he can be there at the end of this one. And looks like we have quite a few drivers in the back part of the field heading back down pit road.
Yeah, and we may have a lucky dog situation here. See if we can get a lucky dog coming around. That'd be a nice way to make up a little time. I know it gets really frustrating when you're out there and something out of your hands just takes you out. It's nice to have that lucky dog to be able to run back around the outside and come on back up. Now we got a bunch of cars coming back out of that pit lane now, trying to stay low below the line and join back responsibly so they're not running into anybody. But no traffic coming around. They can go ahead and pop back up and join back in with this pace line.
You know, I gotta say these almost identical IROC style paint schemes, they come across really nice on those Camaro body lines.
They do. I really do like these retro cars that have been coming out from a lot of the manufacturers. The Camaro over the last couple of years has had a really nice look. Same with the Mustang. I mean, I think everybody has their preferences. Somebody might prefer Ford over Chevy. I hear that's the way it kind of goes. But you know, these retro looks that they've brought out with a lot of these cars, I think it's fantastic, and I love seeing it. And the way they've put this paint scheme on here, I think it's absolutely brilliant. Looks fantastic.
Well, as you can see, as we took a look at the 17 of Dakota Clark, the paint scheme still looks good, even if the car's a little bit beat up. Unfortunately for Dakota, these cars on the super speedways like this, very aero sensitive, so that much damage on it may unfortunately slow him down a bit as we get back to racing, and we see even more cars popping in down pit road.
Yep, popping in. We got Smith coming in right here, trying to get probably a little quick splash of fuel, and then head back out. No tires, I don't think. Just jump right in and head out back on the track. Try to get going. We got lights out on the pace car. We are about to go back to green flag racing.
And of course, in this instance, ready or not, we will get started without you. So these drivers will have to tag on to the back as we get going here. We're on lap 23. We'll be lap 24 as we hit the green, and going to be closing in on the halfway point here, Mike.
Yeah, we're going to have, I believe we are going to have, if I understood that radio chatter that I was listening in on earlier, I believe there is a competition caution at the end of lap 30. I believe that to be the case, but just like with that call on the pit stops, I am perfectly prepared to be wrong.
All right, so we'll follow along here as the iRacing pace car, heads down pit lane here in just a quick second. Yep, there they go. And it's going to be in the hands of Brian McCann still in that 3 car to set the pace on the start. And he gets a great launch, but that could spell trouble here as they get up to speed because that outside line is getting formed up a lot tighter and a lot quicker.
Looks like Tim Schofield and David Brown kind of got caught sleeping there just a little bit, but the draft closes that right back up, and I think that may be more to what Brian McCann wanted. I think he kind of wanted that 12 car to be right up behind him, so he gets that punch out and makes people start to think, and when they overthink, they start to get too jittery on the wheel, too much motion in the wheel, and kind of bleeds off that speed. But we got a nice push from the 0-1 on the 7, trying to make that push back again around the outside, see if they can take the lead as they work their way around NASCAR 4, trying to get the pedal to the metal, get right up under that rear wing, and just push to get those cars flying around the tri-oval as they cross back over start finish.
All right, still 2x2 all the way through the field. And still McCann out in front now, but that 7 of David Brown, he was McCann's dancing partner there a little bit ago. Now he's going to try to strike out front on his own.
Yeah, we've been watching the 0-1, Brian Kaufman here. He took the lead for a little while, kind of sat in second for a little while. He's comfortable up here in the front. I think he really likes being in that second car position, high line or low line, looking really comfortable in both positions. I think he's ready to make a push, try to get that 7 car out front. David Brown obviously wanting to be closer up front. He's just a little back, sitting in third, and then back up to second, almost right in there, very close. This is some tight racing here today, folks.
We ride along here with Brandon LeClaire out of the Carolinas as he stares at the back bumper of Brian Kaufman. Kaufman, one of the drivers that's been towards the front of the field all day long. And not a lot of comers and goers in this one so far, Michael.
Yeah, not too much, but some interesting movement here. The 12 car having a little bit sideways. That's Tim Schofield wanting to stay right in behind, but look at these guys jockeying for position. There's a little bit of nervousness going on now. Oh, it looks like we might have some incidents going on in the back. Or am I seeing something else? Nope. That looks like other stuff passing through. Oh, yeah, that's the 57 car. Whoa, he is on the side. We should have a caution here. Why do we not have a caution if there's a car practically flipped over? That is a bit of a shocker.
Well, he was well off the racing line, even if he was kind of turtled there in the infield.
That is quite a dramatic roll. Now, here's the bad part about VR. When you're in VR in the car, when it's doing that, now let's take a look. Watch the car here. You'll see him. There's the 57. He's right on our screen, right in the center. Comes around. When you're in VR in a situation like this, ooh, up into the wall. Now you're spinning. This is the point when you just want to throw it off. Now we've got people calling for please throw the caution, but I think you're right. He's off the racing line, so there's not too much. Nope. There it is. There is the full course caution.
All right, you can see just right up ahead. Yep, the blue car there goes rolling, and then we have 57 just going for a tumble. You know, earlier today we took my 5-year-old to the county fair, and I don't think anything we went on was anywhere close to the ride that he just took.
Yeah, that's going to be one of those. I was always saying, if I've got VR on in that situation, and I'm a passenger, I'm going to pull that off my face, because otherwise I'm probably going to have a bit of an emesis moment. There's another good word for you.
I need to start taking notes of these.
Yeah. Emesis, it's just a fancy word for barf. That's it.
You know, this may be the first broadcast I've been a part of where we've been able to work the word barf in.
Oh, well, I'm pretty sure I've gotten barf in there a few times, but I don't know. I'd have to go back and listen to some of them. Seems like it's something that would happen, especially when you're talking about maybe somewhere like Nürburgring, when you have that uphill section. You come through and then you crest the hill and then make that quick right near the beginning of the track. I don't know if you're familiar with it, but man, you come up through there on the Nordschleife. As we watch, looks like we got the whole crew once again coming in, not too far into the race. This is about, our first pit was that lap 14. Another 14 laps in, we got everybody going in. And we have a kind of a push situation. The 7 and the 3 working their way to their individual pit stalls. There was a definite nose-to-tail push happening on that one.
A little a tip here that we've been passed is looks like these drivers are just going to keep topping up the fuel until they reach the point where they can make it to the end. We are closing in rapidly on the halfway point of this one. I believe we'll be sitting around lap 29, lap 30 by the time we get back to green. Got to be closer to lap 30 as we're on lap 29 right now and still have to grid back up. But we're going to be at the halfway point, so pretty soon these drivers will be able to make it to the end. And it doesn't look like tires have been anywhere near a concern as expected.
Yeah, it looks like we had one car not pit. That would have been Jay Jensen in the 02. He's currently in second place behind currently in first place. What happened? That was interesting. I'm not exactly sure what's going on there. Fortunately, the pace car is kind of a ghost car. Let's take a look at the GSRC replay here. The 3 just rolling along, coming up towards the pace car, and then boom, 48 tags him. I think that may have been a couple of cars trying to unlap themselves. No, that's right, the 2. So the 2 is Jay Jensen. The 02, that's Jay Jensen. That 48 car, though, I think that may have been somebody trying to get themselves unlapped and had a drive around, and there was just miscommunication going on. Kind of unusual. There's a lot of communication with these guys. They do talk a lot with each other. You can hear them on their Discord channel talking back and forth, not Discord, but their radio channels here in iRacing, talking back and forth and trying to communicate. So that one actually surprises me a little bit to see something like that happen.
Yeah, that was Curtis Rogers in the 48 coming around to tag back onto the end of the field. And yeah, looks like somebody zigged when they should have zagged. But we have Jay Jensen now out in front by virtue of not taking the pit stop. So a little bit of confidence, or maybe just expecting another caution to come through and gain the track position. We'll see how it plays out as we have a new character in our scene here up at the front.
Yeah, and I'm curious. So lights are out on the pace car. Are they going to take that end of lap 30 competition caution that I thought I heard some chatter about? So all I heard was somebody asking if they were going to do it. So they may not even bother now because they just had a full course caution. But lights are out on that pace car as they work their way down towards, yes, I'm going to call it NASCAR 3. It's an old habit. I'm used to racing the 24-hour version. We call it NASCAR 3, NASCAR 4. I know I could just say 3 and 4, but man, that habit dies hard.
I was going to say, where I come from, we just call it turn 3 and turn 4. But, you know, you do you.
Yeah, I'm used to a few more turns at this track. It is an exciting track to do the 24 on. We typically run between 2,500 and 3,000 miles over 24 hours. It's quite a race.
Well, iRacing pit car ducks off, and we have Jay Jensen now the command vehicle on the inside, and he is in the restart zone. Green flag's out. Jensen fires off. Pretty good restart for the 02 machine, but Brian McCann now ducking in behind him. A little bit of unfamiliar territory for the 3 machine, but with that damage he suffered under the caution, Michael, do you think maybe this could be a feeling out period for the 3 car to see how his vehicle is going to be feeling now that he may have a little bit of a change in circumstance?
Yeah, I was trying to take a look around his car earlier. The nose seems okay as he pops back up to the outside. Looks like he's going to get a matching dent on the back from that car, number 12 car. Try to push him back out front. The 02 Jay is just falling back into third position. The 3 and 12 slot back down to that low line. Tim Schofield doing a nice job to push McCann back up into the lead. McCann got exactly what he wanted on that restart, heading back out, but Schofield, not one to sit and wait for things to happen, pops back up to the outside. Looks like he's going to try to make a run, getting a little bit of help from the 54 behind him. Can he get in there? Looks like, yep, the number 12, Tim Schofield, is going to be just in the lead. Can he hold on to it as they head around turn 2 here? See, I didn't say NASCAR 2 that time. Heading around turn 2 here. Looks like, nope, not going to quite be able to do it. But heading down the super stretch here, this is the time to get the pressure on. Little help from the 54, giving him a nice push to get on down the track. Looks like it's going to be just enough to get him into the lead, but can he hold it all the way around 3 and 4?
Well, Schofield definitely not resting on his laurels there, trying to fight back, but it just feels like McCann there out of King, North Carolina, just feels comfortable out in front, I suppose.
Yeah, McCann is doing a nice job holding on to this field. He really is in command of everything. Ended up being on the high side on the start, P2. Found his way right back to the front where he wants to be. Now, honestly, if you're sitting out front, you're kind of in a good position at this track, because especially when you have the talent that a driver like McCann has. But with a little help from the 54, it looks like the 12 is going to find his way back up to the front. How long is McCann going to let this stand? He's got the 54 to his right, so he can't move back around him. He's going to hold on, looking for that low line. Is he going to go back under? Nope, he's going to tuck right back in behind him, try to get the push. And then the 12 car just kind of playing there. Tim Schofield found his way all the way back up to the front. And then looks like McCann is just going to sit there for maybe one more lap. But watch how he plays this. I've been thoroughly impressed watching Brian McCann play the field to exactly the way he wants. This guy is an absolute master at finding his way through traffic and getting back up to that front position.
Well, McCann definitely not a newbie to the sim racing world. He's got north of 15 years experience behind the wheel here, and it definitely shows when you watch his form in that 3 machine. And of course, as we say that caution back out for the 4th time now, we fall under the yellow.
Yeah, it looks like we had Schofield in the lead with McCann, I think, second once again, although that 54 car, Hunter Clark, I couldn't quite see where they were when that came out. They will be able to settle themselves back into the right position. Oh, look at that. Wow. That is quite a melee there. I couldn't quite tell who was the impetus for all of that. The 71 looks like it got the worst of it. Everyone else still moving. Take a look here as we watch a little bit of a checkup going into the corner there. Diving down to the inside, trying to get on the brakes, not get caught up too deep in it, but cars just bouncing off each other. Wow. And that was coming out of 2, I believe that was where that all happened. Just, man, that's a tough day. And then a late crash. Is he going to get one more? Nope. It fortunately makes it around. That was just a little bit of insult to injury on that one.
Yeah, you can see the checkup there just ahead. It's just chaos. A really high-speed game of bumper cars is what it looks like back there.
Yeah, bumper cars a little less damaging, I think. They're designed to bounce off each other. Now, to be fair, these cars are actually designed pretty hardily. They are able to bounce off each other a good bit. But you don't want to do too much because, as you mentioned earlier, ooh, look at that. Looks like, oh, we might have had a little neck code issue going on back there. Let's take a look on board here. Looking back behind, take a look at that 44 car. Trying to get around here and then waiting for that little slide out, sliding up underneath there. You see that red and gray car trying to slide up underneath the 9. The 9 comes back down onto him. So getting the nose in there kind of made 3 lines. You can do 3 wide here. I really don't recommend it because you end up with that big pile of tire smoke that we're looking at.
So here we sit now, lap 36, working our 4th caution. It's a new driver out in front, so to speak, Tim Schofield in the 12 machine.
Yeah, Tim doing a good job working his way up there. He has been playing that very quiet game. We've mentioned, hey, the 12 pushing, hey, the 12 getting pushed. couple of times here, high line, low line, doing a really nice job holding on to position, being able to stay out front. And his car looks relatively unscathed, unlike the 3 car there. Brian McCann got a little bit of a dent on the back. You kind of see it here, but that lead car, the 12, he's looking great. Not too much damage on that car at all.
All right, didn't see as many takers to pit road as we did the last few cautions as well. So wondering if maybe we've reached a point where it's possible to make it to the end on fuel.
Yeah, I'm gonna guess these guys are expecting at least one more caution. We've had 4, 5, just 5. I think this is 5, right? So we've had 4 or 5 full course cautions up to this point. Because we've got somebody trying to sneak out of the pit lane. I think he makes it. Yep, that's going to be just barely getting out there. Good job going on the apron around. So that is what you need to do here. A lot of times if you're watching iRacing, you see people just pop up all of a sudden over that, up off of the apron onto the oval. Bad form. You got to stay down and get back all the way around to that tail, that back end on the super stretch before you work your way out, because otherwise you're just going to get in somebody's way and it's not good stuff.
How about the call there by Jay Jensen, though, in the 0-2? He was running mid-pack before the caution before this one. Played a little bit of pit strategy, and I don't know how it's going to affect him in the long term as far as fuel mileage goes. But he's right up there in the mix now. He did fade back to 12th under that last flurry, but definitely doing better than he was before.
Yeah, sitting in P12, not a bad place to be, as you can see. Now, the lead pack here, the first 15 cars or so, 20 cars, doing a really nice job to stay out of each other's way. I think it's when we get a little bit farther back into the pack where people are getting a little antsy. They want to move up to be into that. This is a giant field. We've got over 40 cars in this field. A lot of people trying to work their way up, and you can't put 2 cars into the same physical space, as we just watched with that big pileup on that last beginning of that last caution lap.
All right, iRacing pit car ducks in again. This time it's in the hands of Tim Schofield to set the pace on the start. Green flag is back out.
So we got a bunch of people who have some issues with the passing under the yellow, or not being able to get back to their position, so they are getting some penalties. But take a look here back to the front. We're looking at the 3 and the 12. This is what we were just watching, but we've also got the 7 and the 0-1. Now these guys are going to be able to push around that outside. Just watch the 7. It closes in right up underneath the tail. They're trying to stay just in a good position to not have too much buffeting off the car next to him. But look at that. Pushing the 0-1 around, the 7 is able to get him back all the way almost to the front. That's Brian Kaufman and David Brown working that outside line, working that high line, trying to get all the way around the 12 and the 3. Are they going to be able to make it? Looks pretty good, but I think he was just a hair off taking the lead there for the 0-1 car.
It always amazes me how much space you see between the 2 lines here in the middle part of the race. But, you get in the last 15, 10 laps or so, and both of those lines will be sucked right up to each other, trying to stall out the aerodynamic push of the other one next to it. So,
or the one guy
right now,
who's trying to make it 4 wide.
Yeah, that would usually be me trying to make it 4 wide, then end up, firewall deep in the wall. But right now we have a great battle going on up at the front. Tim Schofield in the 12 and Brian Kaufman in the 0-1. And Brian McCann forced to play bridesmaid here at the moment on that inside line.
Yeah, but he still has a good bit of time. We're only on lap 40. We just started lap 40 out of 60. There's time, and I can almost guarantee there's going to be another caution. Watch as that caution happens, and you're going to see McCann do another one of those really good pit stops. I was watching him on a pit stop where he came in second. I think it was our second or third yellow. He came in second place, came out in first, because he had such a good pit stop and was able to get the car back out behind the pace car better than anyone else. So watch what he does when we have our next caution come up. I'm not calling for a caution. This is not a commentator's curse, but you know, it doesn't take a genius to figure out that's probably going to happen again.
Well, so far, we've been able to avoid your curse here. We have under 20 laps to go at this point. And we're going to be getting into the closing stages. As we mentioned earlier on in the broadcast, the finishing order of this race will have the effect of setting the lineup for next week's race, which will be the actual season opener for the IROC Challenge Series as they get their season kicked off over at Daytona, or back here in Daytona, I should say.
Yeah, back here in Daytona now. It looks like Neil Quick had a little bit of issue trying to get back into the game here, but probably a bit far off. He's going to want to have that caution, but he's got like Walker right behind him, hopefully able to give him a push back up to catch up to this lead pack. The lead pack right now working through turn number 1, trying to find just where they want to be. All these cars you've seen right now, they are all playing a game. They are playing this chess match to figure out how they're going to make this last lap pass. We're going to see a pretty dramatic finish. I can guarantee you that. We've got the 1 and the 7 trying to come low. The 1 car taking the 0-1 car. That's Brian Kaufman once again back in the lead. But now we've got a new player up in this with the 7 car getting a little bit of push by the 112. That's Brian Reek, that we haven't talked much about up until now. Working his way up. Brian Reek is up. And yes, this is the correct number. 24 positions. So 24 positions, pushing his way all the way back up there. This is a nice run for Brian Reek.
Yeah, and even on a super speedway, the way this race is kind of played out, that is no small task to move up that many positions.
So we have the 12 and the 112, and that is a lap car. There was a lot of communication there. Now notice that lap car has no nose. That was earlier incident, but doing a nice job to communicate and say, hey guys, I'm going to be on the high line here. I'm going to go all the way up to the wall. And the leaders were able to just work their way low, just go around them, and nobody had any issues.
Must have hired the same plastic surgeon Michael Jackson used.
I was trying to figure out how I could work that joke in there, and I knew it was going to happen. I tip my hat to you for pulling that one in. But let's take a look here. We've got a movement on the high line. Looks like that's 7 getting a push from the 112. Now it's kind of there are 2 12s. The 12 on the low side, the red, white, and blue car. That is not the one we were talking about before. We're talking about Brian Reek in the 112. It looks like it's just a 12. It's an all blue car. But that car back up 24 positions, 25 at this point, because currently he is in 3rd position, kind of shuttling back and forth with the 12 car. That would be Tim Schofield, who we did see in the lead earlier. Now, can Brian Reek work his way up there? Is he going to be able to get a push onto the 7 car? Looking at David Brown's bumper, trying to get right up under there, give him a little bit of nudge when they get out here onto a little bit more of a straightaway. Can they get ahead? Looks like it's going to work. So far, so good. Getting him pushed way out there. We've got David Brown now in the lead, and Brian Reek up 26 positions. Can't quite hold on to it. Can't quite get in there. Looks like the 0-1 of Brian Kaufman holding on to that low line with a little bit of a push from the number 12 car, Brian Schofield, able to hold on to that lead position.
A little bit surprised there that the 7 of David Brown got out in front, did not immediately pull down in front to block off that inside line, and hopefully that doesn't become a regret later on, but I feel like he maybe left a little bit on the table there as far as that move went.
Yeah, it could be a little bit of testing too. You want to see what your opponents are going to do when you get through there, and it's really interesting to note now. If you take a look all the way back, there's the number 3 car in a very unusual position. He's in P6. That's going to put him down 4. Now back up to P5, down 3 positions. I think we're going to see some movement from the 3 car. I think he's going to figure out a way to snake his way through here. I'm just not sure how he's going to do it. I don't have his talent in this oval style racing. I could tell you exactly how I was going to do it if this was the 24-hour course. But on this oval, man, this is a different talent.
Yeah, and this is Brian McCann fighting back from a position that he is definitely not familiar with. It's the furthest back he's been all day, and now has to find a way to fight back up. And Troy Radford back up in the mix as well in the 94. He had faded back a little bit briefly. And we'll ride along here with Chris Wally, a native Floridian here, kind of on home ground at Daytona International Speedway, as he works alongside the 02 at Jay Jensen, who was one of our leaders earlier on in this one.
Yeah, we've had several different leaders in this race. Easy to happen with a lot of that back and forth. Ooh, got a little bit of a checkup. Yep, looks like we have a caution flag. What was happening there? Oh, that's not good. Paul Buesel upside down, 42nd position, finding himself on his lid.
Well, it's been a tough race for that 9 car involved in now the last 2 cautions. You see him working around the lapped machine, and looks like they may have just gotten a little bit too close there, Michael.
Yeah, unfortunate. As we watch the 17 coming along, trying to hold on to some position, and then yeah, this is Dakota Clark out of Indiana. Now watch, taking a little bit too much on that bottom line. I think it was an evasive maneuver out of the 23 car, and then just bam, flying over the hood. That's not a good way to finish your day of racing.
No, it's one thing you definitely don't want to hit another car, but you especially don't want to hit another car when it's become airborne.
No, that's just insult to injury at that point, I guess.
So this is going to be a bit of a reset here for the last around 10-ish laps as we get everybody lined up. One more shot at it. I imagine we may see a few guys head down pit road as well. What do you think, Michael?
I think it could happen. I'm trying to do the calculations in my head of what these cars use, fuel-wise, how their tires are. I think the tires are going to be fine. The tires should be able to last. I think they're going to be perfectly okay. But fuel is the big question. Now, are they going to make the dive and get more or less a splash and dash? We're going to have effectively only about 8 or 9 laps to go. We're currently on lap 49 at the pickup of the pace car here. It wasn't that long ago these guys fueled. I think they probably have fuel and want to run super lean, but the second I say that, we watch the majority of the pack dive down in here and try to roll down pit lane to get their final fuel. But you know what that does? That puts the 112. Brian Reek up 27 positions into P1. Does he have the fuel to hold out to the end of the race? Brian Reek, 27 positions. He's 22 laps on this stint. Can he make it to the finish? This is going to be tight.
We talked about the pit stop prowess of McCann earlier. Looks like he may have given up a few spots there. So unfortunately, the money stop not quite being what he needed. But Brian Reek out there in front could be the come-from-behind victory. But we'll see what plays out here, where we'll have less than 10 to go by the time we take the green. So it's the shootout at the shootout to see who will have pole position for next Thursday's upcoming event.
A lot of big movement here, too. There's in P3, we've got the 02 car of Jay Jensen. He's up 23 positions, not too far back from him, coming up 35 positions. Kyle Pendergraft in the 14 car, sitting back in P7. So a lot of movers here. Kyle is on about 14 laps into this stint. So Brian, I'm not sure if Brian has the fuel to do this. I think he's probably hoping for another yellow, but with only about 8 or 9 laps to go once this thing goes back to green, that's a tough call. I don't know that I would have done that, but I probably would have. I'll run that car to a thimble full of fuel if I can.
Yeah, ideally you cross the line on fumes, right?
If you can, yeah, that little bit of difference of weight. As we watched how close the qualifying was here, we were watching many cars down to the thousandth of a second with effectively the same time going across, and with everybody being that close. A thimble full of fuel will really make a difference, more than you think it would, because at a little over 6 pounds per gallon, carrying that 6 pounds, even around a super speedway with all that power, does make a tiny bit of difference. And that, with as close as this has been, that's the difference you may need.
So the field now doubling up. You see the 0-2 at Jay Jensen down there running on the apron, the shortest line possible. That can help eke out a little bit extra fuel there, but everybody getting too wide now as we get set to go back to racing here in the closing stages of the shootout here at Daytona International Speedway. The Spartan Transportation IROC Challenge Series closing out their opener for their 5th season as an organization. Lights are off, so we're going to be going green this time with 9 laps remaining. It's going to be Brian Reek from 28th position to head the field here in these closing stages. Troy Radford outside of him in the 94 has been towards the front for most of this event, and he's obviously very comfortable in that outside line, as he's shown throughout this race. But with a couple new players at the front, we'll see how this works out. iRacing pace car heads to pit road, and we're going to be green and mean here as we get going for the final 9 laps here at Daytona International Speedway.
Yeah, good run there from the 112, holding onto that bottom line very nicely. But the 94 of Troy Radford pushing nice from the outside on that upper line, got the 8 car behind him, trying to give him a little bit of a nudge to get back around there. But there he is, Jay Jensen. We've talked about him before. He's back on that bottom line, giving a push to the 112 car, trying to keep those 2 out front. He wants that position. He can see 3rd place sitting there for him. The 21 car joins in on that little push test. Can they pull it out as they hold onto the low line, heading around to turn number 3, coming into turn 4, putting the pedal down to that metal, and there they go. Once again, we've got a full course yellow. So is he going to dive in? Will he be able to make that dive? I think it's going to be pit closed until they come back around. But yeah, it looks like Brian Reed may be in a great position. But we got to go all the way back to P17 to find Brian McCann at the leader of that group. He was only 3 laps in. Is he in the best position? Let's take a look at this replay right here. A little bit of shuffling back. Oh, that's going to be the 01. Oh, no. Bunch of cars that we've been talking about all along here ending up in terrible shape just because of a little bit of uneasiness so close to the end of the race. Hate to see it when that happened.
Yeah, that's the 01 of Brian Kaufman. The 12 of Tim Schofield caught up in that as well. And David Brown there in the 7 machine was another one of the top runners. And just looks like up ahead of those guys, there was a bit of a chain reaction checkup. The 01 ended up getting pushed out and then pushed up. And unfortunately, they all collect there in the outside wall.
Yeah, a lot of cars that were running pretty well up front. We had the 12, the 01, a bunch of those cars that were up there, just not in a good place now. Now, if we go back here, this is going to be looking on board with the 22nd position car, Matthew Kopp, taking a look around. He's going to slide through this. This is a little bit of keeping your eye where it needs to be. You hear people talk a lot about target fixation, but he just lifted off that gas a little bit, didn't need to stay in it, finds the right place to be, takes it down to the apron, and just threads the needle at 80 or so miles per hour.
So we have another big group of drivers heading down pit road. Obviously, several of them having some damage, but our front runner is still staying out on the track, Michael.
Yeah, still staying out there. We got the 112. Looks like a 12 there, but it is 112. And the 02, that's going to be Reek and Jensen. They're running kind of long on fuel. We've got 26 laps in this stint for Brian Reek. Jay Jensen on 19 laps. on this one. So they're hoping that this full course caution is going to let them just stick the car in fourth gear and putter along at just a seemingly slow 79, 80 miles an hour and just kind of putter around the track here. They're trying to, if you look at the 0-2 car, see how he's sitting right down there on the line. He's trying to take as short a line as he can possibly get away with. Now, getting down on the apron as much as he is there, I'm not sure that's going to be kosher with the stewards. Normally, you shouldn't be able to get down there, but I guess during caution they're able to get down there. Try to save that fuel.
Now, we do also have to keep in mind, Michael, these drivers have 3 attempts at a green-white checker. With these drivers up front, could be running short on fuel here if we see all 3 of those green-white checkers play out. Right now in regulation, we have 6, going to be coming to 6 laps left. But there is still the chance that we could see the green-white checker string things out here a little bit. And given how this race has gone so far, I wouldn't be too surprised.
Yeah, getting that green-white checker, we got to get those in there. But Brian Reek ready to get rolling here. He's just over the radio going, yeah, let's do it. He wants to get out there. He wants to run, and he wants a clean run all the way to the end. That green-white checker could make it tough on him because although it's been several laps of yellow, he is still on 27 laps on his last off of his last pit stop.
So field lined back up again, double file. And these drivers are hoping that the next flag they see is the white, because at that case it'll be a race to the finish. But if we see another yellow, that will most definitely lead us into overtime.
Yeah, we got him going too wide here. Lights are out on the pace car as they head down the super stretch. We're going to see that pace car peel off, and then it's going to be on Brian Reek in the 112 car, that blue car you just saw low there. He is in the best position that he can be in, and he is up 27 positions today. He's got to be grinning from here. Even if he doesn't finish here, he has got to be grinning of how well he's done on this particular race day.
So Brian will lead the field around. We see the iRacing pit car, or pace car, getting ready to duck into the pit area and into the restart zone. Green flag is out. The 12 car out front there fires off pretty well.
Looks like the 0-2 Jay Jensen had an opportunity to drop low, did not take it. But right now, it looks like Troy Radford in the 94 trying to hold up into that position. That was not a good call from Jay. Jay had a better shot of being down low. If he'd have tucked right in there, there was an opening. But he's going to get a little bit of help from the 8 car. Hunter Tate trying to help him get a little bit of a nudge, get up into that position where he wants to be. Back in front. Can the 8 give that 0-2 car enough of a push to get back around as we watch them go around the turn number 3, kind of falling back just a little bit as Brian Reek takes off in the lead. He's going to try to look for a push from the 94. Is he going to get it? The 0-2 trying to close that gap back up.
You can see some damage on the front of that 0-2 machine. That could also be a hindrance there. He's the lead of the pack, so he's the one splitting the air. And if the air is not going smoothly over the front of that 0-2 machine, could be slowing them down a little bit. So definitely could be hurting his cause by not falling back in the line. But of course, now he's got the 94 of Troy Radford pulling up right in front of him. And now the 0-2 can push Radford. And with his nose tucked underneath the 94 like that, doesn't have to worry about the damage on the front of his car as much. And now we have another new player in this, Brandon Leclerc, driver we haven't heard too much from in this race. He's now up there in the mix, running on the second position on the inside line with just 3 laps remaining now as we get back to the line.
Yeah, Brandon Leclerc. Look, if you take a look at what we got here, Troy Radford in the lead. He's up 5 positions, 26 positions for Brian Reek, who's back into first. So that's 27. We got 12 positions up for Brandon Leclerc, 22 for Jay Jensen. We got a lot of movers here in this lead, little quartet. but in the best position he can be in. Number 112 coming up on some back traffic, back markers, trying to slide past them as they go high. Good job from the field, staying low, staying away from that back marker. Trying once again to get around. We've got, it looks like the 94 car, Troy Radford, making a nice run here as they head into turn 1. Is he going to be able to make the drop down low? The 112 in his way. Sorry, in the way of the 02. That's going to be Jay Jensen in the 02, wanting to come back down, not able to do it. The 112 in his way, giving him a push, giving a push to that 94 car. Can they make the push, get out in front here? This race is almost over. This is lap 59 of 60. We are watching the closest finish that I've seen in a long time at this track. These guys, man, they're making a push as the 112 able to hold that low line and get back out in front. Can he hold it all the way to the end? Is this going to be what the next lap looks like? 21 giving him a push as they work their way through, trying to come through that final turn, number 4. Is he holding on? Yes, he's able to hold on last lap. This is going to be, I believe this is our last lap. Yep, I did not see the white flag, but yep, we have the white flag lap out now. The 112 holding on to the lead, got the 21 giving a little bit of a push. Can they hold on to it? Brandon Leclerc looking like he's in a good position to try to slide up in there. The 02 also, that's going to be Jay Jensen, wants to get up in there, taking that high line, looking away on the outside, and oh no, looks like the 112 not quite making it, a big crash in the middle of the field.
All right, we're going through turns 3 and 4. We're going to stay with our leaders here. It's Troy Radford out in front. Jay Jensen, the car following in his wake, coming down to the line. They're going to have one last shot at it. Jensen to the bottom of the track. Oh, he's going to turn Radford. But it looks like Troy Radford still crosses the line first to take the win.
I think he did. And wow, Jay Jensen in third behind Brandon Leclerc. Brandon Leclerc making it up 13 positions. Let's take a look at this replay right here at the finish. You're going to watch Jay try in the 02 car. He's holding on right into the draft. Going to take it down low right here. Watch him try to go right down to the low. He does a little fakey to the high side. Now we've got contact. Does the 94 hold it? Little extra push from the 21 and just crossing the line. Wow, all 3 cars in the lead, not going straight. Everybody sideways making their way through there. I told you this was going to be a tight finish. I finally got a call correct in this race.
And unfortunately, Brian Reek, who started that lap in the lead, you can see right there, that car unfortunately not quite able to make it on the fuel. He is able to duck out of the way, but that does cause a bit of a stack up behind as people react to his movement, and that allowed the field to scramble there on the back straightaway. And unfortunately, we saw the result there. But while all that was going on, we had that.
So that's going to be the number 112. He had run out of fuel there. 112. We saw him in the lead for quite a while, and looks like he just didn't quite make it. You see him here in the lead. This is him from the lead, trying to run that last thimble fuel, and then drop out. So watch as he drops down here. He's dropping down to the low line, and then that just causes a big checkup behind him. And look at all those cars trying to get around the car out of fuel. We're assuming he was out of fuel there, trying to come back around. Wow, that was a really brave call from Reek there. I thought he was going to be able to hold on to it, just about half a lap shy of being able to make it to the end of the race.
All right, with that, we're going to take a chance to catch our breath here. We'll head to a break, and we'll be back with you here in just a couple moments. Give you our official finishing order and talk with some of our top finishers here for the IROC Challenge Series on the Global SimRacing Channel.
Spartan Transportation and Spartan Logistic Management is your one source for all your shipping needs. 53-foot dry van shipments, auto transport shipments, full-service in-house brokerage, drop lot facilities, just-in-time deliveries to all auto manufacturers, facilities in St. Louis, Missouri, Kansas City, Missouri, and Indianapolis, Indiana. Visit us at spartan-logistics.net or find us on Facebook.
We are back here with the IROC Challenge Series at Daytona International Speedway here on the Global Sim Racing Channel. Just got finished up here with one of the more exciting races we've seen at Daytona, and we'll give you your finishing order here. Flying across the line, pretty much airborne, was Troy Radford in the 94, taking victory over Brandon LeClaire in the 21. Jay Jensen played the fuel game and won to come home in third, with Hunter Tate behind him in fourth. Kyle Pendergraph hanging on for a fifth position, with a quiet day from Nathan Bishop, finding him in the sixth position. Brian McCann, after a strong performance early on, hangs on for seventh position, followed by David Trumbley in the 96. Jarrett Widener in the 88 car comes home in ninth, with Gary Ragland completing your top 10.
Filling out the next portion of the field, P11 comes Tim Schofield. Behind him, Aaron Smith. Neil Quick making quite a quick run. I'm sure nobody's made that one before. In P13, about 5 seconds back, Donnie Lyons in 14th. Robert Formald in 15th. Kevin McCann, P16 in the 33 car. Joshua Funkhauser in 17th. Timothy Woods in 18th. Matthew Kopp in P19. And filling out your top 20, Stoney Benfield.
What a great name that is. In 21st position is Jesse King, followed by Douglas Wasaki. David Brown in the 23rd position, followed by Chris Wally, who had quite the exciting race. Cook Quick in the 25th position, followed by James Kaufman in 26th. Then it was Mike Harper, Hunter Clark, Dylan Dellinger, and Brian Reek. Unfortunately, our first car one lap down after losing the fuel pressure there on the last lap.
Yeah, bringing up in P31, Jason Higginbotham with Bill Walker right behind him. Also a lap down, we're looking at Damon Cox, Brian Kaufman, Chris Medford leads off 2 laps down with Curtis Rogers, Jeff Napier, Brian Kaiser, and then Mike Cook in 3 laps down in 39th. 3 laps down also Dakota there in 40th. 41st, we've got Jamie Abrell. 42nd, Ray Radford. Paul Buzel is 22 laps down in 43rd. 44th, 25 laps down, Brandon Mefford.
Well, one of our protagonists here at the end, we'll catch a word with him. Brandon LeClaire, third place finisher, joining us here today. Brandon, you had a pretty exciting view of that last lap. Could you walk us through it?
Yeah, I mean, 12 ran out of gas on the backstretch on the last lap, and it kind of just ruined my run at first, and then everybody just went for it there going into the tri-oval, and I mean, I just glad I made it through it.
Yeah, but that was sorry, Brandon, I didn't mean to cut you short there. I looked at the wrong line on the screen here. A second place finisher today. Now, the racing out there for Super Speedway seemed relatively clean, but this sets you up for a pretty good position to be starting up front, maybe a little bit ahead of the chaos next week. Tell us your thoughts as we head into the season opener.
Yeah, real glad I'm going to have a good starting spot for next week. Throughout the race tonight, it seemed pretty calm up front. Not really sure what went on there in the back of the field, but everything seemed pretty good up front, so hopefully it stays like that for next week's race, and hopefully we'll keep going with another good result.
Now, your series, or this series, obviously a little bit new to us here on GSRC. Can you give us a little bit of your history here, Brandon? Tell us about your history on the iRacing service and what brings you to the world of motorsports.
Yeah, I've been on iRacing for about 3 years now. This is the first league I've joined, and this is my first race in the league, so I'm pretty new to this type of league racing. But yeah, I mean, so far it's been pretty good. I've enjoyed it and really looking forward to keep going with it.
All right. Anybody else you need to thank for helping you with your run tonight?
I mean, yeah, I guess just thanks to everybody else for keeping it kind of a clean up front for the race.
All right. That was Brandon LeClaire, our runner-up finisher tonight. And then we'll send it over to Michael, who's meeting with another one of our top runners here today.
Indeed, I am. I'm just going to call you the master of the race, because I got to say, you were in such control through that whole race. You had a really good, smart pit call there at the end where you didn't run out of fuel. And I got to tell you, that was impressive to watch. I really enjoyed watching your chess match of a race there.
Well, thank you. Wow, that's a heck of an introduction. Yeah, we qualified on the first row and ran around and led for a good part of the race. And then you couldn't really do much on the track, not a lot of passing opportunities. So it really came down to pit strategy. And we were really debating hard. Me and Tim, we were on radio communication together, and we wasn't sure to pit when Troy pitted or not. And, it was going to be close. So it ended up working out for Troy, and we came home in 7th.
Well, speaking of the pits, what is your secret? Because I watched you, it was like the second, maybe the third full course yellow. I think you had fallen back to second. You were the second car, maybe the third car coming into the pits, and you came out first. And it didn't look like you did much different than anybody else. You just did it better, I guess. What was the secret to that pit stop that got you back out onto first?
Timing the brakes. You want to be on the brakes. You don't want to slide the tires, but you want to come to a complete stop with as much brake force as possible right where your sign is. And it's kind of hard to time that, but if you master it, it'll help you a whole lot in the pits. And then I never took tires the whole race, so that helped as well.
So leading the race, kind of sitting in the position you wanted to be, running high line, running low line, really mastering the position, playing with everybody who was behind you, looked like you were in control. And then that weirdness at the end, do you feel good about coming in 7th, or do you feel like you really had it in you to be farther up in this race?
Yeah, no, I'm fine with 7th. Really the qualifying on the first two was what gets me for next week to start in 2nd, I believe. So, that was a bonus there. And then the only other thing that I had for this race was the win to get the cash prize, but, couldn't get that. So overall, yeah, I'm happy with it. It was a good race. 40 some drivers out here, not too much cautions. It was a good race overall.
Indeed, it was. It was a lot of fun watching you out there. And even with this onboard camera, turn the camera, wave, say hi to everybody. You had a really nice down low. There you go. Really nice control of the wheel. We were watching you, commenting on how gentle you were on the wheel, not trying to make big movements. So anybody watching this, take a note from this man. He does a great job at it. But Brian, who do you have to thank for today's race?
Yeah, I want to thank my wife, my family, everybody watching the stream tonight, you for putting on the broadcast, and the league admins for putting the show on. It's an awesome league, and I'm glad to be a part of it.
Well, thanks for being here, but I'm going to go back to Chris. We're going to have, looks like the man who ran out of it needed another thimble full of fuel to get to the end there. Let's have a talk with him and see how that went.
Well, Brian, I think we can pinpoint the exact moment of this race where your heart broke in two. That had to be absolutely crushing to come that close to victory, and unfortunately just come up a little short on the fuel tank.
Yeah, I was watching it. I was talking to Chris and Kyle Pendergraft there. I'm like, man, I didn't pit when everybody else pitted, and I kept watching. I'm like, I can make it, man. I think we're going to have one more caution. And, I think a couple laps in, we had another caution. I'm like, I'm good. And I still thought I was good when I ran out of gas. And so that was kind of shocking. And it definitely, I don't get to run very good on asphalt too much. So it's a heartbreaker for sure.
Did it give you any indication that you were going to come up short, or did you just kind of lose power there going down the back straight?
Yeah, it sputtered a little bit, and I knew my night was over right then. Like I said, I was a little bit shocked, and it showed that I had about a half a lap to go. I could to the good, and I just didn't make it. Bummer.
Well, Brian, despite the heartbreak, anybody you want to thank that helped make tonight possible for you?
Yeah, man, I want to really appreciate you guys coming on board. I want to thank Chris Wally. He puts a lot of time and effort into this to make it the league that it is. Appreciate all the guys that we had sign up, all the regulars that come over and continue to run this series. It's an amazing series. My wife for letting me stay down here. We got sick kids upstairs, so Spartan Transportation. Just that's really about it. Really appreciate, like I said, you guys coming on board.
All right, well, that was Brian Reich there in the 112 machine, and Michael, I believe you finally sifted through all the confetti and champagne to get a word with our winner.
Yeah, I'm sure there's a lot of champagne being spread about there. My biggest question, honestly, is that the biggest angle you've come across the start finish line at the end and still end up with a win?
Oh yeah, most definitely. I really did not expect after I got turned there to be able to finish the race in first. So I was just sitting there looking at the standings, just waiting to see where I came in. So very surprising though.
Well, you were able to make it by just a whisker, 0.040. I mean, that was like half the first 10, 12 cars in the qualifying for the difference there. So that was pretty tight. Working your way up through, you were up 5 positions. Did you see yourself being here, starting that back in 6th, or were you just kind of hoping for anywhere in the top 10?
I mean, honestly, I was just hoping for a good night. Have nothing stupid happen and cost yourself getting to race next week. So I just rode most of the race. Like the first segment, I was up front and really did. We just all kind of rode right there. And then once I started falling back a little bit on a couple of those restarts, I just didn't push it. Like there's just no sense. I mean, I was just satisfied with wherever I finished, and then, with the way that strategy played out and taking a couple of fuel only and taking fuel when other people didn't, I really saw an opportunity there. And so, had a good opportunity, snuck up in the outside lane to get the push by the O2. And then I think Brian Reek ran out of fuel on the white flag lap, and that really opened it up for me.
So were you and Jay Jensen talking about, hey, can you give me the push and follow along? Or was it just something that happened organically and ended up working in your favor?
Yeah, so Jay, we actually were not in communication at all. I have my guys that we typically run with the Falcon guys, and they all had, pretty horrendous nights. So Jay had some front end damage. So when he got up there, and I noticed real quick when he was on the outside line trying to lead, he could not he couldn't really lead that line well. So that's kind of what opened it up for me sneaking up and kind of ditching Brian on the inside there to get to the outside, was because I could see that Jay was struggling, but I had seen also that Jay was able to push people real well. So that was my hope, was, if I can get up in front of him. I think he knew that if he made a move too early, he was going to get drugged back because of the damage. So, it was just going to come down to that last second move that, the draft really helps you with. And, he tried to make it there, but, it still kind of worked out in my favor. So.
Yeah, nose damage is terrible when you're the car in front, but it's not a big deal when you're the car behind. You end up being the pusher. So, getting pushed across the finish line like you did, I'm sure besides the cars doing the pushing, you've got a few people to thank. Who do you have to thank?
Of course, first of all, for me, it's always got to be Lucky Finn Project, as well as National Kidney Foundation, Evidence-Based Mommy, as well as, all of the guys who put on this series. There's so many sponsors that go into it, with Spartan Logistics and, being the lead one, and just, a lot of time and effort that they put into this. So, very grateful for everything they've done, and, just glad to be here and glad to be having fun.
Well, Troy, pleasure to watch your race. Great finish. I think you're probably going to see this finish in a highlight reel somewhere soon. But with that, I've got to toss this back to Chris to take us out.
All right. Thank you, Michael. And with that, that is going to close things out for us here tonight. Want to give a special thanks once again to the sponsors that helped make this one possible. Have to thank our friends over at Zoe's Place. And then, of course, we're going to also give a huge thanks to R&R Racewear. Also want to thank the Spartan Transportation IROC Challenge Series for allowing us to host their great racing action here tonight. And also want to thank the team today, Michael, Joe, and Dougie. Make sure to check out our social media, website, merchandise store listed on the screen. Don't forget to subscribe to our YouTube channel as well so you don't miss a moment here on the GSRC. These drivers will be back in action 1 week from tonight, right back here at Daytona International Speedway. And be sure to check out all the other broadcasts that'll be listed on your screen. Up next for us here on the GSRC will be Saturday morning, 9:30 a.m. Grand Prix Legends at Imola. And until next time, race clean, race hard, and we'll see you on the track.